much a fan of Lord of the Rings. I think it's really funny how they included Gandalf's sword. There's actually quite a few swords from the Lord of the Rings, so I wonder if they included any others from any other shows even. The Dothraki and you never know when they're going to remove it. I remember I wanted to watch a specific show, and Netflix had just removed it, and I thought, oh, it's a good job I've got the actual discs, so I can still watch it. But yeah, I can't wait to go to cinema again. There's a lot of movies that are due to come out that I'm really excited about. Peter Dinklage appears in more episodes than any other cast member, which is absolutely fine by me because I really love his character. And I think that's such a testament to him, really, because his acting is so divine, and he's a very intelligent character. I think he's a very intelligent man as well, but his character is so sophisticated. He's so smart, and he always knows what's going on. He can never be fooled, and he's very strategic, but he's got such a good heart as well. And he's so kind to Sansa when they were forced to marry. I think because he wanted her to be safe above everything. And I really think that his character is one of my favourites of all time in any TV series, just because of his wit alone and that he has got such a good heart. I wonder who your favourite characters are. I also really obviously enjoy Jon Snow's character, although sometimes he frustrates me. But Tyrion is fabulous, and actually the man who plays Tywin Lannister, between takes, he felt so bad with how his son Tyrion was treated. Between takes, he would apologise for the things that he said to the character in character, and I feel quite bad for him, really, because it must be quite awful having to act in such a horrid way. But I do have a slight respect for Tywin's character because he's quite loyal to family in a sense, and he's quite a strong character, quite a tough character. He played the part very well because I believe he's lovely in real life, but that's acting, if you are playing yourself, it's not that great, huh? Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, actually adopted a direwolf lady after her demise in the show. Sadly, I believe she's passed away now, but she called her Sunny, which is a really sweet name, but she grew so close to her direwolf. It's actually a northern Inuit dog, the breed, but her direwolf, she grew so close to her that she wanted to adopt her, and she did. So Barack Obama was so curious about the first episode of season 6. He approached the directors and was actually granted access to be the first person to view the episode. If I was the president or prime minister, in my case, I would definitely pull some strings like that. I would definitely use my status. I'd probably only use it for this, but to find out what the next episode is going to be. And maybe that's spoiling it for yourself, but it feels quite special to be the first person to view it, I'm sure. During an interview session, Lena Headey, who plays Cersei, was signing autograph books, but some of the fans actually snatched them from her hand before she could sign them. And that's because she was fan voted the most hated character in Game of Thrones. And honestly, so she got the job through Peter Dinklage, who recommended her, so that's great. But then you go on to become the most hated character in the show. That's just a testament to how good she is as an actress, because she shouldn't be used for the purpose that you want it to be used for, but you can get away with it. And this is such a creative idea that they use the rugs from IKEA as the shawls, because you wouldn't